first of all, I'm going to start with congratulations.
Thank you.
I thought this is a really, really hard movie to pull off. And I'm just going to say congrats.
Thank you. That's so lovely. Thank you for saying that.
So I have a million questions. How did you decide which of the iconic moments from the original film you sort of wanted to bring and not mess with? And which were the moments you're like, I can play with that one?
Well, there are certain iconic moments. Listen, we're a fan of the film too, original film, just like all the fans that love it. And so there are things that are sacred, I feel, just as important as a lyric or even a line of dialogue. There are things you hold on to, images that you hold on to, and we knew we needed to hold on to those. But at the same time, this is a completely different genre. So you're in a live action form. There's so much more opportunity to expand, to deepen, to actually infuse with true emotion. You have real people there, and so that was exciting. As we started to work on it, we said, what can we? Listen, an animated film from 1989, which is obviously beloved. That's the bones of what you're working from. But we went directly back to the Hans Christian Andersen tale, first thing, and we found a very emotional and modern story. It was written almost 200 years ago. And so contemporary and timely about a young girl who feels displaced, wants something different in her life. And she goes on this epic journey of self-discovery to break down the barriers between herself and people that are different than her, the human world. And that was very moving to us that, she is working to build a bridge to break, the down the wall between her and someone that's different than her. And so that sort of sense of acceptance and tolerance, as you say, John, was very profound. And so we saw, wow, we have an opportunity to do something sort of that has a deeper message.
This is a jokey question. I would imagine a lot of people wanted to be in this movie. These are great roles.
Yes.
So who offered the best bribe?
I wish.
There were no bribes involved at this point, but
no, they're all too respectful.
I mean, our goal when casting, just so you know, is that we never actually ultimately have to even make a choice. It's sort of chosen for us. That's what happened here on every level with every character. These people claim the roles for themselves. First and foremost with Halle. Halle, we auditioned so many people, every ethnicity, every kind of person we could find. I mean, it was like literally hundreds of people. And the irony, of course, is the first person that walked through the door was Halle Bailey. She literally came in, said, should I read or sing first? We said, we'd love you to do whatever you'd like. She said, I'll sing first. She shut her eyes, I remember that. Started to sing Part of Your World. And it was so emotional. It was so moving. I was in tears. At the end, you remember, John, I was sitting there, I was in tears at the end of this song. And I thought, I turned to you, John, I said, is this Ariel? But then of course.
She had this beautiful mix of this childlike innocence and mature strength, which was, and then this otherworldly quality, and then the voice. So it was kind of evident.
And we thought, is this it? But we then continued to look, but she'd set the bar so high. She came in many times too during the process, but it was like no one surpassed that. And then we put her on. We did a screen test with her. And it was just so obvious. And so once again, she claimed the roles. It was her decision. She said, this is my role.
I think a lot of people watching the movie will not understand the technical complexities of making this particular film.
Well, that's good in a way. I mean, I have to say that was the goal. Like, we never wanted the sort of the technical aspect of the film to lead it.
Saying it.
But if you saw how it was made, oh my Lord.
Well, I'm assuming at some point there's going to be like a behind the scenes documentary because
there's some wonderful ones. Yes.
Yeah. Well, talk if you don't mind. What was one of the things that you really truly didn't know how you were going to solve to make this film work?
I just remember, I just the logistics of the whole thing.
Yeah.
We wrote an outline, and we came to LA and spent 2 months with everyone in this big space, all our creatives.
Yes.
And we just, how are we going to make the first step?
Yeah.
And like this one, he's just so patient. and listens to everybody in the room, and we just started having methodology meetings.
Yes.
And we found a way in.
Yes, I mean, it involved obviously a blue screen for all the underwater work and every kind of apparatus you can possibly imagine. A new technique called anima, which is when something that's too impossible to actually film because it's just too physical, or no one could do it. That we then applied their face. It's even different than motion capture, to a moment that was just too complicated, and that was something that we actually were able to do with cameras and light. So that was incredible.
But the planning, every step of the way, since we would have to map it out in our heads to decide what we're doing, then we had to teach that the actors work like that. Then we had to teach the stunt people, because all these different apparatus came with 10 to 20 stunt people that have to breathe and with the actor know every line.
And time it, because it's choreography. We had so much prep and so much rehearsal. I mean, I will say the most complicated piece for me was Under the Sea. Because you have one live actor, and then it's but a massive production number, and probably the most important number in the piece, because it's the Oscar-winning film. It has, Oscar-winning number, and so it had to be something really special. And I remembered that Walt Disney had worked with the Ballet Russe company when he was creating Fantasia, because they needed to work from some template, some kind of movement, some kind of bodies. And so I thought, well, you know what, that's what we should do. We should work with a company. So we brought the Alvin Ailey Foundation over to London, and we had them literally play all these different sea creatures. I mean, it's an extraordinary dance company. And so every little movement that they did was trying to replicate these different sea creatures. And we worked on, we had chosen all these amazing creatures. Real. Fish and wonderful creatures, mimic octopus and limpets and flatworms, and I mean every kind, to create this number. And it was using them as a template for our artists to work from, but also all the storyboard work we did, previs work, to make that all come together. So that's a miracle of a musical number.
Sometimes I watch a movie and the CGI really pulls me out.
Yes.
But the CGI in this is exceptional.
Wow.
And it really is.
That was our goal. That was his goal from day one.
So he
would always say, this is the most technical thing we've all ever done. The most important thing is the story. We cannot let that technical exercise lead. And so that was his mantra.
That was that.
Well, if you don't mind, with the CGI, can you sort of talk about, because it really does look like you put the camera under the sea, you know what I mean? And so talk a little bit about how you pulled that off with the technical limitations maybe that you were up against.
Well, we have an amazing visual effects supervisor, Tim Burke, who actually led this extraordinary team of people. We explained what we wanted. We had illustrations, our production designer, John Meyer, our cinematographer. We all knew what we were doing. We were all on the same page. We wanted a photoreal world. We wanted to believe we were in that world, because if you believe you're there and it's part of, you're deep there in the sea, all the things, even the light, from the darkest place, which is Ursula's lair, to the brightest place, which is like that we called Ariel's ledge, where she meets Scuttle for the first time in our film. Like all of those different, the gradations of the water, it was all so very specific. And that's why it took 4.5 years. I mean, we did not settle. We would not settle. It had to be every single moment from
very clear communication with the artists. It was very crucial.
Every turtle, every fish, every moment was discussed at length.
Every bubble,
everything. It was insane. Every strand of hair is added. It was insane. But it was like climbing Mount Everest. But we felt like at least we got there to put that flag on the top. That's for sure.
I have to stop her. She's going to kill me. I'm just going to say congrats.
Thank you.
I'm pretty confident the movie's going to do well at the box office.
Oh, thank you. That's so generous.